If there's only one filmmaking tool you absolutely need to invest in, aside from a camera, a lens, a mic, and a tripod, wow, this list is getting long, is a one-handed 3-axis stabilizer, commonly known as a gimbal on the internet. In this 4th episode out of my 5-part series to modern-day travel filmmaking, I'm going to show you very basic gimbal techniques that can create powerful cinematic results. What I love most about using a gimbal is that they're extremely easy to use and they're light and compact. I know, sort of a trend here on this series. The gimbal that we're using for this trip is the Zhiyun Weeble Lab, which fits into my backpack easily and only takes 30 to 60 seconds to set up. Because of that, the gimbal eliminates the other filmmaking tools that we would have to bring that we would otherwise have no space for, like a tripod, slider, and an actual jib. Can you imagine checking in a jib on an airplane? Now, a gimbal doesn't completely replace those other tools, but it does get the job done by giving us very similar results. So let's start off with 2 easy techniques first, tracking forward and tracking backwards. Simply by pushing in or pulling out, we can add a bit of subtle motion when filming inanimate objects. Or walking forward and walking backwards, we can follow a moving subject going through their surroundings. For establishing shots, I love pushing into a landscape with an ultra wide angle lens like the 18mm to show off more of the surroundings or to emphasize the scale of a building. We're not limited to just using buildings to establish a scene. Oftentimes in travel, there are certain iconic structures that paint a better picture of the country you're in. Like these orange gates, for example. These are known as torii, which are commonly found all over Japan. An easy tip for making a great shot with this technique is to look out for symmetry and leading lines. These help create this point of view look that invites your audience into the world that you're trying to show them. As far as which gimbal mode to be in, if you have to make any twists and turns, you would want to be in pan follow mode. But if you know you're just going down a straight path, it's best to have your gimbal on lock mode to prevent unwanted drifting. And you're not limited to shooting what's in front of you. Try pointing your camera up or down from time to time to see what other interesting shots you can get. For inanimate objects, try to incorporate some foreground elements into the shot. That way, when you push in or out, these can really help emphasize the movement. For example, this shot right here, I used a 25mm and got really close to the cherry blossom. As I'm pulling the camera out, it revealed more of the surrounding cherry blossoms, thus creating a more interesting shot. If you have a character in your film, you can follow them from behind as they explore the surroundings with a 25 or a 40mm lens. Incorporate their reaction as they're seeing the surrounding as well by filming from the front and tracking backwards. The next technique is orbiting, and this is another great way to add a bit of motion when filming inanimate objects, and it's a great way to show them in 3 dimensions as well. You can do a quarter orbit, a half orbit, or a full 360 orbit. Whoa, getting a little dizzy here. The gimbal mode you want to be in is pan follow. To make the shot look a lot more interesting, you can move the gimbal up and down as you orbit around the object, like shown here in the example. I used a 40mm and got tighter to one of these gates to show the Japanese engravings. Moving on, I coined this my fake slider technique, in which I just do a parallel tracking similar to that of a slider. Can you see me now? Ooh. The sliding shot is a great way to review a scene. Again, by incorporating a foreground element, we can emphasize our movements greatly even if we're just shifting between left and right. The best gimbal mode to be in is in lock mode. Let's take a look at this shot here of Mount Fuji. I wanted the mountain to be the main point of interest, so I used an 85mm to get a nice clear shot of it and filled the frame. I used 2 foreground elements in the scene. First, I started behind a tree and slide out of it to review Fuji. As I'm moving to the right, I'm using the branches as my second foreground element to emphasize the distance travel even though I'm not physically moving much at all. And for our final technique for today, I call this my fake jib shot, in which we start the scene from the bottom and bring it to the top, or vice versa, from the top to the bottom. Now obviously we cannot reach the same height an actual jib can, but by mimicking even the smallest motion, we're already making the shot a lot more interesting. The best gimbal mode to be in is lock mode when performing the fake jib shot. Like the fake slider shot, it can also be a great way to review something. For example, I started off this scene with the entrance of the shrine. As I'm tracking forward, I jib down to review a subject walking towards it. And if you happen to bring a tripod or monopod on your trip, you can actually combine that with this technique to extend the height your camera can reach. Helpful in situations where you can't physically fly a drone. In this case, I guess you can call this the fake drone shot as well. In the final episode, we're going to see how the entire travel film comes together based on everything that we learned from this series. If you guys want to see more educational videos from me and from Zeiss, let us know in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for joining us on this journey, and we hope to see you in the next one. Peace!